Hi, this is Peter Wooding. Welcome to the latest edition of Christian Weekly News. Coming up in the programme this week, we're going to be looking at the issue of freedom of expression. That's particularly in light of a case in the High Court about a Christian organisation that had their Not Gay posters banned from London buses by the Mayor of London, Boris Johnson. Their poster was in response to a Stonewall poster that was allowed on hundreds of buses right across the capital. This is being an ongoing issue for this organisation called Core Issues, who last year held a protest outside a Stonewall event outside a library. This is the story of what happened then.
We're standing outside the British Library, and currently a conference is taking place that wants to do something about homophobic bullying in the UK. Mike, can you tell us why we're standing outside this conference?
We're interested in helping men and women who we feel need to have the right to be able to move away from homosexuality. The problem is today, if a person has gay feelings, they're told, it seems to me, that that needs to be their identity. I believe there are choices around homosexuality, and just because a person has gay feelings doesn't mean that they have to act on them or that they're being inauthentic if they choose not to identify as gay and therefore move away from homosexuality. And I also think that people in that position really do deserve support from psychotherapists and counselors. But there's a clampdown today. Some organizations are saying that it's wrong even to reduce homosexual feelings. So a young man who has fallen in love with his neighbor's wife, well, he can go and get counseling. Somebody who is tired of being a man and wants to be a woman, he can go and get counseling. But a man who finds that homosexual feelings are difficult and are unnatural to him, if he goes for counseling, he'll be told that he cannot change and his only choice is to live as a homosexual. And I think that that is a blatant pushing an ideology onto people that really can't work. There's a minority, perhaps, of people in our population who perhaps are being bullied in a different way. They're being pushed to take on a gay identity without being given the full range of choices that should be available to somebody who senses that they have homosexual feelings. If I'd been told earlier that really there are other alternatives, I think I would have saved myself a lot of pain and struggle, because I have journeyed out of homosexuality. I believe the change has been real in my life. It doesn't mean that I've never had another thought, but it does mean that I know what I want to achieve, and my personal goal is to move away from homosexuality. I really don't understand why that is not an acceptable option for people.
So that was a protest that took place outside a Stonewall event last year. Now, since then, some of those that were protesting tried to get posters put on London buses about not being gay and being proud of it. That was in response to a Stonewall poster that went out right across the capital city. But that plan was prevented by Boris Johnson. Here's the story from Mike Davidson, who talks about this case. Now, another case that you've just taken to the High Court is about a banned poster, and some of us went out on the streets to get people's opinions on this poster to see which one they thought had been banned. We got quite an interesting response. Tell us that story.
Well, many people ask me what were we doing advertising therapy for homosexuality on buses, and my response is that we really were not advertising therapy at all. What we were simply trying to do is point out that in the UK there is a group of individuals who want to legitimately move away from homosexuality. It's not really our style to advertise on buses. But the fact is, Stonewall put a very intrusive poster on 1,000 buses in London. You can't really turn off the channel and look somewhere else.
What did it say on the poster?
It said, some people are gay, get over it, which is a fact. You can't really dispute that, but we were worried about the fact that it might communicate that homosexuality is a category of existence like male and female and gay, as though it's something innate and genetic and unalterable. And that's the central truth or the central myth, really, that we would like to stand up against. So we felt it was really the responsible thing to do, to come with an advertisement that would say something different, because we think it's important that people know there are alternatives. We're not saying that everybody should be forced to go in that direction, because we live in a free society, hopefully, and God himself gives people choices. But we think it's very important that people know that there are alternatives in terms of all of this. What
did your poster say, and how far had you got in the process to actually get these onto buses before Boris Johnson sort of pulled the plug on them?
The poster read, "Not gay, ex-gay, post-gay and proud, get over it." And they were due to run, I think, on the Monday, and on the Thursday of the week before, the story and our intention was leaked to the Guardian newspaper, and later that evening they were banned by Transport for London, and certainly the credit for that decision was given to the Mayor of London, Boris Johnson.
Mike Davison from Court Issues Trust giving you the background to that case. And now we're going to go to the High Court to give you a progress update on this case.
It's quite challenging to stand in front of the Royal Courts today. I'm not used to the media attention that does come in this case. And I'm grateful for the interest that has been shown from other parts of the world, including in the UK. It does make me realize there's a real responsibility in all of this. I can't say that I'm not nervous. I'm not in control of the outcome. I can only really do my very best and stand for what I believe to be the truth. I'm really very grateful for people who have come from a faith background and those who do not have a faith background. There are those who phone and make statements to me on the phone that can be troubling. And there are pranksters who maybe have a sense of humor. I don't know. They want to be cured from straightness and they want to be turned to gay, they tell me. All I can really do is encourage them to talk about the issues if those are really genuine issues, and to find a qualified therapist who'd be willing to do that. It's a bit troubling that things are closed down in the UK and we can't have this debate. I think as long as debate is respectful, we need to be willing to hear different points of view, and we need to be in a position to assess the arguments based on the fact. But when I hear leaders of UK professional psychotherapeutic bodies saying that they're not concerned about the science because they believe some things are not ethical, irrespective of what the science says, I find that deeply troubling. And I'm wondering if we're not in trouble generally in the UK because we've become ideological and political in this area of sexuality, and we're no longer listening to what the scientific data is saying. And that troubles me. I don't believe there can be a negative outcome in terms of standing with this case today. We may not win it in the sense that we get everything the way we would like it to be. But if we get the recognition that there is a group of people within UK society who chooses to move away from homosexuality, and therefore they are a group, just as we have gay groups in the country, I think that that's an important achievement.
So tell us the latest. You took that to the High Court to appeal this decision, basically.
Last week we went to the High Court and were given an opportunity to argue against the ban, and we heard arguments from the other side as to why they felt they were correct in banning the poster. And we're now waiting for a judgment from Judge Lang, and are hopeful that our views will have been heard and represented in the case.
Now, I'm sure in both cases people would have been quite happy for you just to sweep it under the carpet, carry on with your life, but you've taken a stand, which has not been easy for you. What good has come out of this? Because I know it's given you a lot of opportunities in the media to now raise this issue.
I think there are opportunities to be raised, and thankfully that has sometimes happened through the media and through other mediums in terms of opportunities to speak and share. For me personally, it's not really an option to go with the flow and really take on board what I think the kind of subliminal message is that says you're out of whack with society, and you know, you're antediluvian, or you're old-fashioned, and you're unrealistic in terms of the goals that you want to try to achieve. The thing is, if you don't speak up, I think the ground on which you stand, if I can put it in that way, becomes smaller and smaller and smaller until eventually you really have to, I guess, work in an underground kind of way. And in modern Britain, I don't think that's an option.
Now, just finally, what advice would you give to those viewing this that you know, they've had challenges in the workplace for standing up for their faith, and they may be intimidated by that? What advice would you give to people watching this to take a stand like you have?
I think we're called to speak the truth in love. There's always a requirement to be respectful. I think there's a culture somewhere in UK society to give an ear to well-reasoned arguments. So I think you have to do your very best to argue your case. A kind of critical approach in which you analyze, you know, the history of things, and you look carefully at literature and peer-reviewed papers. Whatever it is that will strengthen your case is very important. Maybe nobody's going to listen to something that's just based on opinion. You have to try to do your homework to the best of your ability. But I would say to anybody who felt that they might need to stand up, that really taking a stand, standing up for what you believe and what you believe the Lord has called you to do, that's exactly what we're called to do if we're going to make a difference.
If there's someone watching this and maybe they've got a family member, a friend that's struggling with same-sex attraction, can they come to Core Issues Trust for help? What advice can you give them?
At the moment, I'm not offering therapy personally because I want to respect the ban that has been placed on me until we've worked out our issues. But I am able to put people in contact with qualified therapists in different places in the country who are willing to work with them. It really depends on their geographical area or location within the country. But I'd be very happy to speak to them informally and to share with them my own experience and my own understanding of the issue, perhaps share some literature with them, and to help them make connections with other organizations and people who will stand with them in their journey.
It's been really good to have you as a guest on Christian Weekly News, Mike Davidson from Court Issues Trust. And we ask you to continue to pray for Mike with these ongoing cases and this brave stand he's taken, and to pray for all our cases here at the Christian Legal Centre, as so many Christians right across the country are trying to make a stand in public life. Now we're on the streets of London to find out what people think about this poster being banned from buses in the capital by the Mayor Boris Johnson. It's always interesting to get their responses. Let's find out what people have to say. Okay, so I'm going to show you two posters and I want you to see which of these you think was banned on London buses. Now this one says, some people are gay, get over it. And then this one says, not gay, ex-gay, post-gay and proud, get over it. Now which of those do you think would have been banned from London buses by Boris Johnson?
Not gay, ex-gay, post-gay and proud, get over it.
And that's the other one.
I think probably this one, some people are gay, get over it.
Well, that was the one that wasn't banned. That was by Stonewall. And then some organisations tried to get this poster put on buses and it got banned because it was about the possibility that people that have a same-sex attraction can change that. So it was a Christian organisation. What are your thoughts on that?
A Christian, well, if you're gay, you're not gay, you're bisexual, you like both sexes, like, it is what it is. Like, if anybody else has a problem with it, really, they should get over it. So, I'd say put both of them on the buses. Yeah, really, because it's not a bad thing.
Which of these posters do you think was banned from London buses? This one says, some people are gay, get over it. And then this one says, not gay, ex-gay, post-gay and proud, get over it. Which of these do you think was banned?
I think it is this one here.
Yeah, you're right. That was banned by Boris Johnson. What do you think of the fact that that one was banned?
I don't really see why it needs to be banned, to be honest. It's not. I don't see it's offensive to, really. There's nothing generally wrong with that poster. And it's not much different from the other poster, the first poster you showed me. So I really don't think it should have been banned.
So I'm going to show you two posters. I want you to figure out which one was banned. So there's this one, some people are gay, get over it. Yeah. And then this one, not gay, ex-gay, post-gay and proud, get over it.
Okay, I'd go for the second one.
Yeah, you're right. That was banned by Boris Johnson from going on London buses. What do you think of the fact that he banned that poster?
I think it shows that within society we're still very rooted in the past, that we've not come to accept homosexuality. I think it's quite a sad reflection on society, to be honest. I think that it would be nice to see a bit more acceptance. You know, if this was around London, then, you know, it would help people to realise that being gay or being bisexual is just a normal part of some people's lives. So
now, this poster was actually in response saying it's possible to be an ex-gay. Right. So it's all about freedom of expression. Yeah. So they thought homosexuals would be offended by this. What do you think about that?
I don't think homosexuals would be offended by it, because I think that gay people would want people to feel that, you know, they can express themselves in whichever way they want to.
Some people are gay, get over it. Yes. And then this one says not gay, ex-gay, post-gay and proud. Which one do you think was banned?
The second one.
And what's your thoughts on the fact that this one wasn't allowed to go on London buses? Do you think it would be offensive to people?
I think it would, because it sort of makes the state of being gay a sort of temporary thing, or something that you do as a lifestyle choice, as opposed to something that you are. You know, it sort of pigeonholes it and pops it into a box, and I don't think that that's the way gay people are, to be boxed up. I don't think any part of our community is there to be boxed up and pigeonholed. Very political.
This first one says some people are gay, get over it. This one says not gay, ex-gay, post-gay and proud, get over it. Which of those do you think was banned by Boris Johnson?
I reckon it was that one.
Yes, it was. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on the fact that that one was banned?
I think it's actually saying everything, to be quite honest. Not gay, ex-gay. I think it's saying too much about being gay. Some people are not comfortable with the word gay alone. So I've seen the other poster before, so I know definitely it wasn't that one. I think sometimes people feel threatened by it. They don't like gay people in general. So to be honest, I think they need to get over it, because it's a state of life now. People are gay. That's how they are. That's how they feel. You can't change how you feel as a person. You can't say I love that person. If you love someone, you genuinely just love them, and there's nothing you necessarily can do about it, to be quite honest.
So do you think they were justified in banning this poster?
Not necessarily, no. I think the world is changing every day. There's so many other things that are out there that are on billboards, like girls who are naked and so on and so forth, but that's allowed to be on there. But this is life. These are people's lives you're dealing with who are actually gay, so why do you need to actually ban it? I don't think it's fair.
So a very interesting response here on the streets of London to the banned Not Gay poster on London buses. But what are your thoughts on this topic, particularly on the issue of freedom of expression? Drop us an email at info@christianconcern.com, and don't forget we have a Facebook and Twitter page where you can give a lot of comments on all the stories that we provide on Christian Weekly News and here at Christian Concern, and we've got a YouTube channel. Now, another story we've covered recently is that of recommendations for NHS funding for same-sex couples to get IVF treatment. We spoke to Josephine Quintavalli from the organisation CORE to get her response to these recommendations.
CORE was founded in 1994 by a group of, primarily it was a group of women who were very concerned about developments in assisted reproduction, particularly a consultation that was taking place at that time asking if it was appropriate to use ovarian tissue from aborted babies or dead women for fertility treatment. And we woke up with an almighty shock at the kind of horrors and proposals that were lying ahead in the wake of the creation of the first test tube baby in 1978. It didn't take very long before some of these very difficult ethical issues were coming on the table. It's been very much about public information, raising the profile, and certainly doing it through the media, but and encouraging people to take part in these public consultations to make their voices heard. But we've also been involved in a number of court cases, on occasions working in collaboration with the Christian Legal Centre. The biggest challenge at the moment, I think, is to wake the public up. When we started in 1994, there was a lot of interest in these issues, and I think the public was very motivated to respond. People forget that IVF was offered in the first instances in a profile of recognisable infertility within a heterosexual partnership. I don't think marriage was requested, was a determinant, but that had to be a stable relationship. So in many respects, the very early uses of IVF did mimic nature and did very much mimic the social construct of a heterosexual partnership. But it didn't take very long for those parameters to go out the window, and hence the news that we've had recently on infertility treatment for gay couples. I think it's actually not gay couples so much as lesbian couples that they're offering this particular treatment to, because the question needs to be asked, how can you actually offer on the NHS fertility treatment to gay men? Are we going to suggest that the NHS is going to pay for surrogate mothers? I think they're in a bit of a trouble there with offering this new fertility treatment to men. I think when you're looking at reproduction, you have to start primarily from the perspective of the child, and I think the child's rights are the most significant. And so you have to question, does the child have a right to a father? I think the role of father has been written out considerably from assisted reproduction. It's not only lesbian couples who are writing out the father, but there's also provision. Single women can be offered fertility treatment too. So we need to go back to look at the role of fatherhood and show some significant respect for it. It is interesting how quickly we'll turn on the father who abandons his family and chase him for child support, etc. At the same time as we're saying that children don't really need fathers. I think at the time when the first fertility treatments for lesbian couples was offered, it was suggested that the child's need for a father can be substituted by family or friends. So we were hoping that men might stand up at that time and say, excuse me, but you cannot reduce the role of fatherhood to an anonymous sperm donation. I think the proposals of today are much more terrifying than the proposals that we were looking at in the very early days of IVF. You know, IVF can be provided within the context of a stable heterosexual relationship without creating surplus embryos. You can do it a one-at-a-time approach. You can do it without experimenting on embryos. So the problems in the early days were absolutely nothing compared to what's going on now. And there's a very eugenic approach also to IVF. It's create as many embryos as you can and then go around trying to select the best one. There's a new proposal that I don't know whether the public's even woken up to, whether we'll try and create an embryo using genetic resources from more than one parental source, combining embryos, combining eggs. There's no end to what lies ahead. That proposal is in order to try and ensure that you don't have a child with a genetic disease, but I don't think it'll be very long before we're working towards the perfect child. I was giving a talk last night on this and saying there are many very well-known ethicists in the United States, for example, who propose that we do have a right to have a superior child. If we can create them in the laboratory, why should we just accept a good enough child? Let's go for the super child. And this is even, you know, sort of professors at universities like Princeton who think this would be a good idea. So you've moved from having a child to having a child without disease, to anybody can have a child, to now, you know, the latest horror on the horizon is having a super deluxe child.
And that concludes our latest edition of Christian Weekly News. Thanks for joining us on the programme. And don't forget to drop us a line, give us your feedback on the programme at info@christianconcern.com. You can also get updated on all the stories at Christian Concern by going to our website, christianconcern.com, and subscribing to our weekly Christian Weekly News mailing. You can also like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And don't forget to join us again for the programme next week.